Welcome to another episode of last week's Comics Today. I've got a short stack. I unfortunately did not get Amulet Volume 9 this week. It's on the list for coming out next week, so I will review that along with Volumes 7 and 8 at that time. It might be just a couple of weeks until that video gets out. But, short stack, I was expecting more, since this is the first Wednesday after a 5-week January, and somehow it's still just not that much. But I'm going to start this week with Pine and Merrimac. This is the new Cull arcs, and I loved the first issue. Thankfully, this one is also great. That will be a theme that I refer back to later in this video. So we've got these two investigators, these two there, husband and wife. I think she might be a recurring element, since she was in the first issue, and she comes up again here. I think my camera's flipped around. Everything is off to the side. Anyway, a lot more development as far as the mystery, the investigation, what is going on. It feels a tiny bit True Detective-ish, with political and a little bit of possible sex trafficking going on. It's yeah, they've stepped in something deep here, and it's great, and I love this issue as well. I hope that these characters, this series, continues past. I believe this is intended to be a 5-issue series. I'm saying I hope it continues beyond those 5 issues, because this is awesome, and it's funny, it's interesting. I'm just really enjoying it, which is not something I could say about the rest, but let's get to the rest. Such as Cull issue 5, and I've been looking forward to this because I want to shove the whole stack of Cull into a box and get rid of the box. This was another great first issue, and then a disappointing issues, really 2 through 5. I will say that the art in this is great. We've got some crazy, like, going on as far as, like, magic powers, and look at this. That's awesome. It's awesome. I love the art. The writing, however, I don't care at all for the writing. Anyway, I will say it ends like this, and I do not care. If this continues, I will not be along for the ride. I will, however, check out whatever else the artist eventually does, or if they've done something in the past, I don't know. But the art's great. I do not care at all for the story. It's finally off my pull list, and I'm glad for that. Once upon a time at the end of the world, this is issue 12 of... Why focus? Come on. Holy cow. 12 of 15, so we're getting close to the end. There's a lot of art switching in this, because they are in, I'll just call it the future, but they're in really the present at this point. You know, just old people, and they're both doing a lot of remembering 2 prior events. They're sort of filling in some of what happened after the end of the last arc, which is what some of this is, but then they're also remembering to even earlier times, and that all 3 artists are employed here, and it's really good. I would have liked for these 2 to get a happier ending sooner, and maybe at the moment, look at this. I mean, it's rough. At the moment, I'm going to predict that they both die together at the end of this. That's my prediction. I don't think either one's getting a happy ending, but it might be happy-ish, happy asterisk. But this is phenomenal. Loving it. I don't know what else to say. It's post-apocalyptic love story. Kind of a tragedy, but really good. With this latest arc has these, like, Mad Max-ish people. These guys there. So, yes, this is going along great. It might be a toss-up between that and Pine of Merrimac as far as pick of the week goes. Conan the Barbarian, issue 7, so the previous issue ended with the woman that he was having sex with getting possessed by a spirit and then starting to attack him. We get some more flashbacks with Belit, and then, boom, she stabs him in the back. Not Belit, but the possessed sex partner. So, ooh, boobs. Yeah, there's a lot of murder and slaughter in this, as Conan realizes what's going on, and I don't know. Conan does what he does, which is a bunch of killing of people. So the art still isn't quite as good. I don't think Braithwaite is quite as good as Torres? No, I can't remember the first artist. But he's coming back in a couple of months. I think there's one more issue with this guy. There's the Free Comic Book Day issue, and then the first arc guy is back. Also, I will mention that the trade for the first arc is out as of tomorrow, by the time that you watch this. Yes, Conan is great. I will have more to say about this in a separate video. I should have known Thundercats wasn't going to be good. I've talked about, I've talked about a few things. Here, we have a cover gallery at the back, and that's not even hardly all of it. So we get all of these covers, and you know what I've said about covers? It's still going. There's over 60, I think I counted at one point, but way too many variant covers, which continues to hold true. The more variant covers you have, the worse the interiors are, and this is bad. It's just bad. And like I said, I should have known. The other thing that I talk about is I want every book to have preview pages put out. And there were preview pages for this, except they came out maybe 2 weeks ago, which is not soon enough, in my opinion. And it's these opening pages. You've got the cast here. And it's really just like opening episode 1 monologue type narration of everything that we're already familiar with. So there's nothing new here. I will say, I have this comment as well, I'll get back to the story in a second, that I think the coloring is used to add additional detail to the line work, because all of the line work is very thin. There's not a lot of line weight variation, and I think color is used to enhance the line work, which might sound obvious. I don't think I'm correctly stating what I want, but I think color here is doing a lot of the heavy lifting that the line work ordinarily would, but isn't. I will admit to not having watched Thundercats since the 80s, so I'm going back quite a few decades now, but I don't remember specifically as far as I thought that the Thundercats crashed on Third Earth and that they were actually the aggressors in this, and here's where I'm not entirely sure. The mutants are the aggressors. They attack the Thundercats' homeworld. The Thundercats then flee. There's talk of only one ship getting away, which means this is our entire Thundercat populace. And like they should be, I would think, be talking about, hey, how are we going to survive with a genetic pool this small? But no, that's not their issue. Panther at one point calls himself a general, and I'm like, dude, there are 6 people? There are 6 people. You are not a general of 500 people. It's really dumb. Anyway, Lionel ages up, and Slythe makes a comment at one point that it's only been a few months. I'm like, what the f***? So they leave the Thundercats' homeworld. They're on a ship. Hypersleep malfunctions. Lino emerges older than he should be, but only it should be by a few months, because that's all the time that's passed. And I'm like, what the f*** is... what? No! This is dumb. Super dumb. And I don't care. The preview pages were bad. I didn't stop from picking it up, though, because it was already on my pull list. And it's confirmation. This is bad. Don't read this. Don't read that. This is one from last week. I wanted... This actually had good preview pages, but the comic shop didn't have an issue available, so I asked them to grab me one, and they did, and this is great. This is great, actually. It's certainly weird. There's... the main guy has a deer for a head, and he seems to be the only one, because everyone else in the book is just normal, and everyone treats him like normal-ish. They do have plenty of, like... I'll point out his hands, too, because it's weird seeing a deer with human-ish hands. I don't think he quite has 5 fingers. No, he's got, I think, 3? Which makes sense. But it's just weird seeing not a hoof. Yeah, he's got 3 fingers. Yeah, everyone else treats him as if he's human, except they have very specific slurs. They have insults for him. And at one point, he attacks a guy. He talks about getting a piece of skin on one of his antlers. So, like, he's aware that he's different, but nobody really comments on it other than right there. So he hooks part of a guy's face on his antler, and then he comments on it later. It's weird. It's weird. I don't know why they're doing it. Otherwise, it's very straightforward. It's sort of pulp era, noir investigation. He's not a private eye. He's a newspaper editor. It seems like he should just be a writer. I don't know that he's really doing much editing duty, but whatever. It's good. There's just a lot of voiceover narration to move the story forward. It's pretty dense. There's a lot that happens. I think issue 2 is actually coming out next week, so there's only a 2-week gap between. You should be able to get this, I would think, if you ask your comic shop, but I recommend grabbing to your editor. Lastly, for the week, there is Gone issue 2, another instance where I really liked the first issue, and the second issue just shits the bed. I'll tell you right where it happens. So, there's a spaceship, right? Our cast left Earth on a spaceship, somewhat accidentally for the main girl, and this is the trouble right here. So the passengers are in hypersleep. Hypersleep is not a new concept for anyone that's watched, let's say, sci-fi movies or read a book, but here, this is the problematic panel where they get time dilation completely backwards. So they say a ship can travel for years, and with time dilation to space travel, only a few months pass back home. This is utterly backwards. The faster you go, the slower you will experience relative time. So, a spaceship that is moving very quick will have less time experienced than the people back on the planet from where they left. A few months may transpire on the ship. Years will happen back on Earth. And they get the concept backwards. Completely wrong. So they go on to explain more about how this is going to impact everything, and eventually she's going to wind up back on Earth, and she's going to be, I'm going to guess, older now than her mother, and I'm like, all of this is wrong, and I'm not mad. This is not burnt toast. It's really disappointed. I am mad, however, at the editor, because somebody, I'm going to blame Will Dennis here, should have caught this. This never should have made it to print. It's, I'm going to say, understandable that someone might get the concept wrong, but fact check your shit, dude. Like, I was just talking about page numbers. Page numbers and table of contents. There was a question, there's a video, you're not going to see it for like another week or two, but there was a video where I was asked why I'm so hung up on page numbers and table of contents, and it's just, do your job, man. It's not that complicated. Do your f***ing job. If you have a job, do it well. It is basic shit. Have a table of contents, have some page numbers. If you have a book longer than 30 pages, like, if you're an editor, check that your writer knows what the they're talking about. Jesus Christ. So, there's one issue left, and I spent, this is right early on in this issue where this happens, and it ruined the entire rest of the issue because I was just thinking about how everything else is going to be screwed up, and I was thinking forward to the third issue, and, you know, this is inevitably going to be some plot specific thing, and I just do not care anymore. They fucking ruined this book with terrible science. So I think I'm not even going to bother getting issue 3 because it's just going to be dumb and it's going to annoy me and piss me off. But hey, that's everything that I got this week. Dear Editor would have been a contender. I'm going to give Pick of the Week to both of these. They're both great. Everything else is... Conan's good. Dear Editor's good, but it's not a contender because it didn't come out this week. So, yes, I'm giving Pick of the Week to both of these. Both great. I get all my books from a local comic shop. If you don't know where yours is, you can use this URL to find the one closest to you. Let's say that you're a writer. Just before I wrap this up, let's say that you're a writer. Find someone to proofread your shit. Like, even just if they're looking at spelling and grammar and punctuation, all that stuff, have someone proofread your shit. Ideally, find someone that's going to challenge you, ask some questions, make you defend some of your decisions that you made. Just find a fucking editor. Jesus Christ.